Amazing confession revealed by the bride minutes before the wedding and inspiring redemption. Unfo. Sarah stood in front of the mirror, her fingers trembled as they brushed over the intricate lace of her wedding gown. The fabric felt foreign against her skin, and she couldn't shake the nagging question, did she really belong in this shimmering world of Mike's family? Each bead glistened like a spotlight, highlighting her doubts. She was a teacher in a small town in Ohio, raised in a modest household where money was scarce but values were rich. Mike, though charming and affectionate, embodied everything she had learned to aspire to escape from a life fueled by wealth and expectations. In the weeks leading up to the wedding, every detail had felt like a gilded cage tightening around her. "What do you think, Sarah? Are you ready for this?" Mike smiled, but in that moment, patting her shoulder felt more like a velvet glove over iron chains. She felt inadequate beside him, her humble past a suffocating ghost whispering hellos from the corners of her mind. As their wedding day drew nearer, the incandescent excitement around her only intensified her inner turmoil. She could feel the walls of perfection closing in, minutes to go, and her phone buzzed ominously. It was her estranged father, the hardworking mechanic who had sacrificed everything for her education. Fighting for his life in the hospital, the voice on the other end said with chilling clarity. Her breath hitched. Memories cascaded in her father's hands, rough and calloused, had cradled her like a treasure, but had also paved the path of struggle that she battled to rise above. She always viewed him as an obstacle, a world she feared would reveal her unworthiness to Mike's family. Before she could grasp the implications, her mind ran through a frenzy of anger and despair. The joy of the wedding was now marred by his looming absence. Could she embrace his legacy while stepping into a life that seemed inherently opposed to everything he represented? The stark divide between her father's ideals of hard work and Mike's affluent expectations suffocated her. With a flicker of desperation, she gathered her closest family and friends in the grand chapel, adorned with stunning floral arrangements she once admired from afar. "I need to talk," she began, her voice wavering, prickled by vulnerability. "I'm scared. I've hidden my truth like a dirty secret." Gasps filled the room, the air thick with surprise. She spoke of the embarrassment, a stigma she had carried like a curse, and how she feared that revealing her father's struggles would paint a target on her back. The image of a perfect bride, once alluring, now felt hollow as uncertainty dripped from her tongue. "Before we continue, I need to tell you about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue." Her words hung heavily in the chapel, threading through the hearts of those who loved her. The reality of her deep-seated fear resonated, a fear that whispered she might never belong in this world of privilege. Just as they started to absorb her confession, an irreversible choice loomed over her. Would she step forward into this polished facade or reclaim her raw authenticity? Anxiety coiled tighter in her chest as she faced a moment suspended in time. Could she truly redefine success on her own terms, or would she remain ensnared in the expectations of a life she never wanted? The question reverberated through the air, leaving her teetering on the brink of a life-altering decision, as the wedding clock ticked mercilessly on. As the moment trickled on, Sarah felt as if the air had thickened, pulling her deeper into the exquisite yet suffocating atmosphere of the chapel. Whispers of concern and confusion flitted around her, mixing with the sweet floral scent that filled her senses. She had just laid bare her insecurities, a skin she had worn for far too long, and the weight of exposure was both terrifying and strangely liberating. Mike's brow furrowed, his eyes searching hers as he attempted to grasp the depth of her admission. She watched as a flicker of realization swept over his face. It was a prayer tinged with concern. "Sarah," he finally spoke, his voice gentle yet firm, "this doesn't change how I feel about you." But did it? The truth startled to take root within her, growing alongside her apprehension. What did his love mean if it was based on an image of perfection? Could she stand beside him as the woman she truly was, not the version curated for the expectations of his world? Questions churned chaotically in her mind, begging for resolution amidst the silence of the room. "I thought I was supposed to be perfect for you," she managed, her voice barely a whisper above the soft rustle of folding chairs. "But now, all I can feel is a wave of doubt crashing. You are perfect, Sarah. You're you." Mike's voice cut through her spiral of thoughts. Yet, a shadow of doubt remained. Did he see her as she wanted to be seen, or did his affection rest on a fantasy built on the veil of opulence? In the depths of her heart, anticipation sparked. She could no longer play the role of the demure bride expected to fit neatly into Mike's life. She looked at her friends and family before shifting her focus back to Mike. "I need to be honest with myself," she declared, summoning courage she didn't know she possessed. "I'm not merely a reflection of your family's social standing, and I don't want to hide who I am anymore." Those around her were transfixed, and with every second that passed, Sarah felt a powerful clarity emerge from the chaos. This was not just a confession but a reclamation of identity, a daring act of authenticity that could pave the path for the woman she was meant to be. As murmurs filled the room, she felt her resolve strengthen. If she wanted to marry Mike, it wouldn't be as the polished version of herself but as the raw, imperfect embodiment of her truth. The girl who had built her life on the toil of her father and the values instilled in her, the one who carried the weight of past struggles while dreaming of a future reassured by her own ambitions. "Let us not do this in haste," she continued. "Marrying you, Mike, means embracing all of me. If that means letting go of expectations, then let us step into this honestly." She paused, watching the response. The silence was pregnant with possibility. Her heart raced. This admission had not solely opened the door to vulnerability, but swung wide the gate for genuine transformation. For the first time, Sarah glimpsed a harmonious blend of her past and the future. She envisioned a future where she could thrive alongside Mike without fearing the shadows of their difference. As Mike processed her words, uncertainty flickered in his eyes, mixed with intrigue. "What are you saying?" he asked, confusion clouding his typically gentle demeanor. It was the invitation she needed. "I'm saying I don't want to hide my insecurities anymore. I'm ready to build a relationship rooted in our truths, not our standings." The room held its breath, and in that charged space, Sarah sensed a shift. Did she dare to hope for acceptance that extended beyond the surface? Would Mike rise to meet her vulnerable challenge, or would circumstances force her to navigate this journey alone? The questions lingered, sharp and raw. As the clock kept ticking down, she knew one thing: this was far from over. The choice to confront their reality demanded bravery, but it might also be the greatest leap into their future together. And then came the realization: they were at a crossroads. It was time to face the truth of their love and the future that awaited them, one that would undoubtedly demand the utmost courage. Sarah stood at the threshold of a new reality, her heart a drumbeat of uncertainty mingled with an ember of hope. The chapel, once a fortress of expectations, now felt like an expansive arena where her voice could reverberate. She shifted her gaze toward the pews, their once familiar faces now mirroring her own tumultuous emotions. Would they accept this unvarnished version of her, the one that refused to conform to a gilded mold? "Sarah," Mike's tone softened, pulling her from her reverie. "You don't have to change anything about yourself for me to love you." His words were comforting, yet they drifted into the air like whispers on the wind. She wanted to believe him, but doubt clawed at her insides like a persistent vine overtaking a garden. She was not the girl who danced effortlessly at elegant soirees or handled social norms with a polished charm. She was the one whose hands had calloused from years of labor, who cried over missed opportunities and fought for validation in a world that often favored the glimmer of perfection. "Do you really mean that?" she questioned, her voice quivering. "Can you love me if I'm messy, complicated, and sometimes a little lost?" Mike searched her eyes, his expression a mixture of determination and vulnerability. "I can. But only if we both embrace who we really are. This requires work, Sarah. Are you willing to engage in this together? The weight of his challenge hung in the air, and a fire ignited within her, a blend of fear and resolve, firing her thoughts into new directions. Accepting him meant accepting herself, flaws and all. What would it look like to dismantle the pedestal she had perched herself upon? "I've spent so long crafting a perfect image," she murmured, almost to herself. "How do I let go of that?" "By understanding that authenticity is your true power," Mike said softly. "Perfection isn't real, and the pursuit of it only drifts you further away from love and connection." His words prompted her to reflect deeply. The image she had curated was not just about him, it was a way to shield herself from the world's judgment. But this self-imposed glass ceiling could break with the right tools and willingness to expose the truth. Thinking this, she breathed in a world of possibility as her pulse began to slow. "Okay," she said, the word emerging from somewhere deep within her. "I'm ready to navigate this, but I need to know we're on the same team. If we're engaged in a partnership, it starts with transparency." "What about you, Mike? Are you prepared to face your truth, however uncomfortable?" His composure faltered, the silence clawing at his confidence, but then he nodded. "I am. I'll open up the way you have, even if it means wrestling with my own shadows. We owe it to ourselves." Her heart leaped, not with joy but with a compelling sense of unity, a shared journey into the uncharted territories of their emotions. Perhaps love was not just about the glamorous moments, perhaps, at its core, it demanded grit and resilience. Just then, she felt the weight of their surroundings shift. The murmurs of the crowd grew softer, their focus locked onto Sarah, their scrutiny palpable. Would they judge her for her honesty? Would Mike's family accept this evolution of their son's relationship, or would they cast shadows that threatened the fragile landscape Sarah had bravely outlined? "Let us not let them decide for us," she urged, letting urgency lace her voice. "We're the architects of our lives, and I refuse to let societal expectations dictate our future." A flicker of shared understanding ignited between them, and the unfolding drama shifted to center stage, demanding courageous decisions. As she spoke, Sarah could feel her identity solidifying. With every choice, she unearthed strength and resolve. "Mike, if we're doing this, then let us run toward authenticity, refusing to settle for anything less." Their eyes met, an unspoken pact forming in that charged space. Yet, as determination surged within her, a familiar fear returned, a nagging whisper that echoed her deepest insecurities. What if they faltered? What if society's weight became too heavy? With the question brewing, the tension condensed, and Sarah realized they were on the precipice of revelation, a moment that could build or shatter their dreams. Navigating this newfound truth would be an uphill battle, but perhaps it was also a step towards freedom. Each inch gained would undoubtedly reshape who they were, together. With the chapel looming around them, the stakes began to multiply. Would acceptance blossom, or would it wither under the gaze of tradition? And then, like thunder in the distance, the thought struck, this was merely the beginning of a much bigger confrontation, one that would demand the utmost courage from both of them. What else would they uncover about themselves, and at what cost? As Sarah stood before Mike, her heart raced not just from fear but an electrifying sense of possibility. The eyes of the congregation bored into her, heavy with unspoken judgments and expectations. Yet, fortified by Mike's acceptance, she felt a flicker of defiance. Here was her moment, a pivotal junction where authenticity could either take her forward or shackle her to the remnants of her past. She closed her eyes momentarily, forcing herself to focus. A lifetime of striving for perfection flashed through her mind like a montage of faded photographs, school performances where she had to excel, social events filled with masks, a world that applauded the crafted over the real. But standing in this moment, enveloped by vulnerability, Sarah ventured to picture the alternative. What would it feel like to stand before others without the weight of expectation? "Mike, I need you to understand something," she said, her voice steadying. "This isn't just about us. I've been afraid my whole life, afraid of being inadequate, of not meeting the standards that everyone else seems to have nailed down. But your willingness to embrace your own truth gives me strength." His eyes softened, reflecting an understanding only someone who fought his inner battles could convey. "I can't promise this is going to be easy, but I believe in us enough to face whatever comes our way. Let us unravel these expectations together." With every word exchanged, the air shifted around them. The murmurs from the pews grew faint, replaced by an intimate dialogue between two souls reaching for clarity. Sarah breathed deeply, the oppressive pressure of judgment loosening its grip. She could either remain here in uncertainty or step boldly into the uncharted territory of her own reality. "I'm ready," she declared, newfound determination coursing through her veins. "Ready to stop pretending. Ready to be the woman who feels every emotion deeply, who allows herself to be messy and complicated. I want to live without the filter of other people's approval." Her words resonated, not just in her own heart but possibly in Mike's as well. The clarity of their intentions became palpable as they forged a path together, unearthing the potential that lay dormant beneath the weight of preconceived notions, but beneath her courage, a flicker of anxiety remained. What would this honesty demand from them? She recalled her childhood, always the diligent student, always the one who absorbed the pressures of the world around her. This moment brought echoes of those old fears crashing back, a visceral terror of the unknown, of being rejected for her truth. "Do you think they'll understand our choice?" Sarah asked, glancing nervously at the gathered crowd, a mix of family, friends, and those with expectations firmly etched in their minds. "What if they push back? What if they decide we're not worth the trouble?" "They might," Mike admitted, but there was a firmness in his voice. "But standing in our truth is worth so much more than their approval. We need to inspire them, to challenge their understanding of what love and partnership truly are." Her chest tightened at his words, each syllable forging ahead toward a bold promise, one where they could redefine the standard by which others judged them. As the murmurs from the choir returned, louder now, and a minister approached with inquisitive eyes, Sarah felt a shift within her. Any sense of hesitation began to dissolve. "Let us do it," she said, affixing her gaze on Mike. "Let us show them that love can look different, that vulnerability requires courage." Just then, an unsettling thought ricocheted in her mind. Was she merely stringing words together to cover her fear? Could this declaration mask the very insecurities she wished to transcend? The intertwining of exhilarating hope and paralyzing dread ricocheted within her psyche. The weight of decision loomed large. As they stepped forward, hand in hand, Sarah understood that their journey toward authenticity was just beginning. The future lay before them, tangled and uncertain, but perhaps this very messiness was the truest testament to their existence. Yet lingering in the space where vulnerability sparked hope was the daunting question: standing at the edge of this revelation, how far would they be willing to go to confront the disapproving critical voices that might soon emerge? As the first words from the minister echoed through the chapel, a roaring tension surged forward, propelling them into the heart of conflict. What awaited them on this path of revelation? The room took on a charged atmosphere, the air thick with anticipation as the minister began to speak. Sarah felt Mike's grip tighten around her hand, a silent agreement that they were in this together. As his palm pressed into hers, warmth surged through their interlocked fingers, grounding her in the chaos of unfolding emotions. "Dearly beloved," the minister started, but Sarah's ears buzzed, dulled by the whirlwind in her mind. The world seemed to narrow down to the rhythm of her heartbeat, an insistent metronome counting down to an irreversible moment. It was here, amidst the formalities, that she would breach the walls of expectation. Yet a haunting fear clawed at her. What if her authenticity unraveled entirely? What if their truth couldn't withstand the scrutiny that loomed? Casting a sideways glance at the congregation, she noticed familiar faces: friends, family, the supportive, and also the critical. This was a tapestry of both love and judgment, stitched with years of unspoken histories. Would she become a source of inspiration or a pariah? Each possibility filled her with escalating anxiety. "Sarah," the minister's voice broke through her reverie. "Do you take Mike to be your lawfully wedded husband?" The words hung, suspended in the stale air. The expected answer bubbled in her throat, poised to escape her lips. But instead, an unexpected swell of courage emerged. She turned to Mike, finding him staring back at her. A quiet challenge echoed in his eyes. "Are you ready?" "Wait," she interrupted, her voice unexpectedly clear. "I need to say something first." The congregation stirred, a ripple of confusion passing through the crowd. Eyes widened, eyebrows shot up, even the minister appeared taken aback as he set his notes aside. This wasn't how it was meant to go, this wasn't the script. Standing here today, I want to express my most profound truth. As she gathered herself, the words came unfiltered, a flood that broke through the dam she had upheld for years. For so long, I have walked in the shadow of expectations, suffocating under the weight of what I thought everyone wanted me to be. But that ends here. I am not just Sarah the perfect daughter or Sarah the dutiful friend. I am a woman with dreams and fears, who wishes to embrace the complete picture of who I am rather than the fragmented versions shaped by others. The silence enveloping the room felt deafening. In that pause, Sarah registered every flicker of disapproval. Somewhere, a whispered comment flitted through the air, but it was drowned out by the exhilaration coursing through her veins. She could feel her pulse quicken, awakening a long-dormant part of herself that yearned for this moment. "Mike," she continued, undeterred, "our journey has shown me what true love means, love that doesn't just fit into preconceived boxes but instead breathes life into our differences. I stand here today not just to marry you, but to advocate for the authenticity of my spirit and for all those who struggled in silence." The warmth of empowerment flooded her, eclipsing the fear shadowing her every thought. She knew that this was not merely about her and Mike anymore. It symbolized a turning point, a courageous stand not just before the crowd, but towards her own beliefs. Her breath hitched momentarily, the gravity of her actions unfolding fully. Would her declaration open the floodgates of resentment? Would they force her to endure undue judgments from the people she had sought to please for so long? Yet a shift occurred within her. Rather than succumbing to fear, she welcomed the inevitable pushback. "I am prepared to embrace the consequences of this choice," she declared, each word a hard-wrought promise to herself. The crowd's emotions began to churn, some expressions softened while others were drawn tight with disbelief. In the eye of the emotional storm she had created, Sarah felt an electric tingle of renewal. This was the moment she had been seeking, long buried beneath layers of perfectionism and compliance. As she locked eyes with Mike again, she sensed a fragile yet powerful connection igniting between them, one of shared vulnerability and strength. "Will you stand with me, no matter the turbulence?" she asked quietly, the apprehension in her heart now coupled with hope. "Always," he replied, and Sarah felt the profound truth in those words as she inhaled deeply, preparing for whatever might follow. But just as the minister opened his mouth to respond, the doors at the back of the chapel burst open. A figure stepped inside, seemingly frantic. The shock radiated through the gathered guests. Who could it be, and what revelations might they bring? The consequences of her bravery might just be unfolding in ways she had never anticipated. The figure at the door was a woman, breathless and wide-eyed, clutching what appeared to be a crumpled envelope. The room held its breath, tension spanning like a taut wire. Sarah's heart raced as she recognized the troubled look on the stranger's face. It was Emily, her college roommate, a woman who had been part of her life but felt more like a ghost of her past lately. What could she be doing here, at this precise moment? "Sarah, I need to talk to you," Emily called, her voice cutting through the charged silence. "It's important." The minister was taken aback, visibly flustered, while murmurs cascaded through the congregation like ripples in water. The impact of Sarah's earlier words still lingered in the air, messy and raw, but now overshadowed by the imminent disruption. As the crowd processed what was happening, Sarah felt a wave of anxiety wash over her. Could her moment of revelation be hijacked by this unexpected interjection? "Emily, now?" Sarah's voice trembled slightly, a mixture of dismay and the remnants of resolve. Her eyes darted between Mike and her soaring vulnerability. Would these revelations around her undermine the strength she had just built, or would they somehow bridge the very chasm she had strived to cross? "It can't wait," Emily insisted, her urgency palpable. She stepped further into the aisle, drawing the attention of those surrounding her. "It's about the letter. The one I sent you last week." A mental shudder coursed through Sarah. The letter had arrived while she was engulfed in wedding plans. In her quest to embody an ideal, a perfect celebration, she had shoved it aside, leaving its contents to collect dust alongside her own unvoiced truths. "Oh," she whispered, suddenly drenched in the weight of buried possibilities. "What about it?" "Sarah, I was reckless," Emily admitted, her voice breaking. "I thought you should know you weren't supposed to marry Mike today." Everything seemed to freeze. Sarah's heart sank, the words landed like stones in her gut. A part of her felt betrayed, but another part sparked with curiosity, whispering for her to gather the courage to find out more. "Why?" Sarah found her voice, now steeled with determination that edged towards confrontation. She peeled back the layers of fear surrounding her life and stood ready, no more a passive participant. "What were you trying to say?" Emily hesitated, glancing at the gathered guests. "It's a complicated story," she stammered, nervousness breaking through her cage of urgency. "But I learned something about Mike from back in college. Something that reveals a side of him I didn't know if you were ready to face." Sarah felt the heat rising in her cheeks. Everything she thought she knew, the foundation she had built her belief of love upon, felt shaky. The sanctuary she felt she had created around her relationship was now cracking, revealing unsettling fissures. Mike's gaze shifted between Sarah and Emily, confusion and concern reflected on his face. "What are you talking about?" He stepped forward, a protective instinct kicking in. "What do you mean? What is going on?" In that defining moment, Sarah realized that this was no longer merely about her choice to marry Mike. It became a profound moment of reckoning for all three of them. What if Emily's information shattered the very core of everything Sarah had just claimed before the congregation? Yet, another part of her, it was the part that had leaped from the shadows, urged her to hear the truth, no matter how uncomfortable it was. "Please," Sarah urged Emily, her heart pounding. "You owe it to me to tell me everything." As Emily prepared to continue, the silence in the chapel felt electric, dense with the weight of revelation and uncertainty. Decisions loomed over the moment like clouds before a storm, threatening to spill forth. What storm was brewing, and would facing it deepen their bonds or unravel the threads that connected them all? The room held its breath in expectation. Emily steadied herself, eyes flitting between Sarah and Mike, who stood rigid, the air crackling with tension. "I shouldn't have kept this from you for so long. But this is about Mike." She inhaled deeply, her words hesitant yet purposeful. "Back in college, Mike had a different life. He transferred because of complications. I found out from a mutual friend that he was involved in something dangerous, something that could alter how you see him." Emily's admission sent a shockwave through Sarah. Each word resonated, revealing rippling shadows underneath the surface they had all carefully painted. "What do you mean? Dangerous? How could you not tell me sooner?" Sarah's voice quivered, laced with a mix of betrayal and disbelief. "I thought it was all behind him," Emily pressed, urgency rising in her tone. "But certain choices have consequences. He was involved with a group that." "Enough." Mike interrupted, his voice cracking like a whip. "You don't get to make these accusations, Emily. You're here to ruin a day that should have been about love." His frustration seeped through every syllable, but beneath it lay a thread of desperation that Sarah had never seen before. "Love? Is it really love if you don't even know the real person?" Emily countered, her defiance a stark contrast to Mike's pleading. "You deserve to know the truth." Sarah's heart pounded as she processed the fragmented images of the man she loved. Mike had always been secretive about his past, but she had never pushed. She had wanted to believe they were building a future together based on their present, not the shadows of what came before. But was this moment a catalyst for her wishes to collapse under scrutiny? Everything I built feels like a lie, Sarah whispered, feeling the weight of the decision slowly settling on her shoulders. How deeply is this hidden? She turned to Mike, searching for answers in his eyes. It's not who I am anymore, Sarah. His desperation morphed into anger, but the cracks in his facade were beginning to show. I left that life behind. That person was someone I fought hard to forget. Fought hard to bury? She volleyed back, a painful clarity settling in. Each word was a probe, an attempt to reveal not just his past, but her own defenses. Do I have to sacrifice my trust because you refuse to talk about your past? I want to let you paint me in a corner with rumors, Mike shot back, fists clenched. I am standing here, confessing my love for you, a love that is completely real. Can't you see that? The congregation was well aware of the escalating conflict, but Sarah's focus narrowed to the man before her. This wasn't just a confrontation, it was a moment pregnant with possibilities. If you love me, if this is real, then you need to share every part of yourself with me. Silence loomed again as Mike hesitated, his defenses wavering. She could see the turmoil swirling in his eyes, the very thing she had dodged for so long. Suddenly, vulnerability loomed larger than the hidden truths of his past. I can't change the past. I was reckless. It was ugly. But that man, he swallowed hard, that man is not who I am now. Emily interjected, don't you see? If you're going to step into a marriage, you need to step into the whole truth. Not just the pieces that are convenient. Sarah's heart began racing, torn between the desire for clarity and the fear of what came next. Then let us lay everything bare. The words spilled from her lips, a mixture of defiance and clarity. This was her moment of reckoning. The stakes had shifted dramatically in this unprecedented dialogue, and all she could think of was the tapestry of love woven from honesty or the absence of it. Tell me, now. Tell me everything about yourself, no walls between us. There was no turning back now. The path toward a new understanding lay ahead, but would it illuminate a future or cast shadows in twilight? Mike's grip on his pride tightened, his face betraying an internal battle. Sarah sensed the storm he had fought for years was about to break. Would this storm expose the truth they all desperately needed? In that charged atmosphere, the question lingered, was this the beginning of healing or simply a revelation that would shatter everything? Sarah's heart raced, breath quickening as tension hung thick in the air. The moment before Mike spoke felt eternal, stretching the silence into a taut rope ready to snap. She could see the pressure building in him, like a dam on the verge of breaking. What lay behind that wall of bravado? The answers could either shatter her dreams or forge a stronger connection. Fine, Mike finally muttered, voice barely a whisper. If that's what you want. I'll tell you. But you're not going to like it. His eyes temporarily flickered away from hers, betraying a vulnerability that surfaced as patches of regret. Just please, Sarah urged, willing him to meet her gaze. I can't love a shadow. You owe me the truth. He sighed, and in a moment, it was as if years of guilt and pain seeped into his delivery. In college, I got involved with a group that was more than just fraternizing. We thought we were untouchable, dangerous people with all the wrong ideas. He hesitated, his fingers trembling at his sides. I was in over my head, Sarah. I pushed boundaries, got involved in things I can't even talk about. I tried to be someone I wasn't. Each word carved deeper wounds in Sarah's chest. This wasn't just some misguided rebellion, it was an unraveling of the man she thought she knew. She fought an impulse to recoil, grounding herself as she forced herself to process his words. So, what happened? She pressed, each syllable laced with a mixture of fear and determination. I was caught. My friends, they kept spiraling. I was the lucky one who managed to escape, who got a real second chance. Shadows danced in his eyes, tales of fear etched into the corners of his features. I transferred, hoping to leave it all behind. I told myself that darkness wouldn't follow me, that perhaps I'd become someone who learned from their mistakes. He paused again, searching her expression for understanding. I didn't know how to tell you. I thought it wouldn't matter, but it does matter. Sarah interjected, frustration blooming. You can't build a life on the ruins of a past you refuse to acknowledge. Her heart was racing, a whirlwind of revelations crashing against her thoughts. How can I trust you when you've hidden this all along? A murmur ran through the onlookers, drawn into the intensity of their exchange. Emily stood to the side, an observer, someone Morpheus could have cast in a pivotal role. Maybe you should have faced it instead of running, Mike. This has implications beyond just you, she stated, her words encapsulating the turmoil in Sarah's heart. Mike's breath quickened. I only wanted a future with you. I thought that if I didn't bring it up, it wouldn't change what we had. I was wrong, he admitted, frustration morphing into regret. I see that now. Your past isn't a ghost, Mike. It's a living memory, and it makes you you, Sarah said, urgency rising within her. Owning it can be the start of something real. But are you willing to do that? All of a sudden, he staggered back, as if struck by her words. I need to. Then prove it, she challenged, steeling herself. Share everything. No more breath caught in your throat, no more ghosts lurking in the corners of your memory. This is our chance to go deeper than just the surface. If we're going to grow together, I need you. They stood there against the backdrop of disbelief, the congregation, the potential future flashing before them, fragile like glass. Sarah felt the mantle of responsibility weighing on her shoulders. It was more than just testing Mike, this was about confronting her own barriers. Could she truly open herself to the scars of his past, the very thing that could either unite or divide them? With guilt laced into every moment, Mike hesitated again, summoning courage. There are things I'm not proud of, but as he began to unveil the layers of his experience, she braced herself for the truth and awakening that could redefine not just their bond, but the essence of who she was willing to become. In the depths of his confession, would Sarah find the strength to not only forgive but to embrace the flawed humanity that lay before her? Would the truth illuminate a path, or would it create an insurmountable chasm between them? The tremor in Mike's voice threaded uncertainty into the atmosphere, pulling Sarah deeper into the labyrinth of his confession. She felt as if a tapestry of shared dreams was simultaneously being woven and unraveled. This was the turning point, not just for him, but for her too. The weight of expectation pressed down, and within that pressure came clarity. Let it out, she slowly urged, the command almost instinctive. The remnants of anger had dissipated, replaced now with an unwavering resolve to understand the man in front of her, an intricate dance with vulnerability and raw honesty. Mike's eyes narrowed, focusing inward as if he were grappling with shadows only he could see. It started with a lie, he croaked. I told myself that I was the architect of my own fate, but I was a puppet, manipulated by the desires of those around me. I wanted acceptance, a sense of belonging. But what I found was a trap. As the words started unveiling his past, Sarah couldn't shake the dual nature of her emotions. In one breath, she felt pity, in the next, an insatiable hunger for justice for the countless moments he had concealed. Yet, she clung to the possibility that understanding could morph confusion into a shared strength. In that crowd, he continued, adding weight to the tension, I lost track of who I was. I participated in things I never thought I would. Scams, drugs, even petty crimes. I think I genuinely believed I could control it all. Until the day the police showed up at a party. His jaw tightened, and for a moment, anguish flickered on his face. I watched my friend spiral, and I was terrified it would all come crashing down on me too. So I ran. The fire behind Sarah's eyes sparked again. And yet you didn't run far enough. You kept a part of that life, a part of yourself, hidden from me, she countered, her tone sharp yet filled with an urgency to break through the walls he had built. That's what hurts. We all have histories, we all have things we want to erase. But transforming those scars into growth, that's the true testament to who we can become. In those moments, clarity struck her. This wasn't just about Mike's past, it was about confronting her own reluctance to embrace imperfection. Could she let go of her fear if he did the same? Tell me why you ran, Mike, she pressed, desperate for the closing thread to the tapestry of this complex situation. What would have happened had you stayed and faced the consequences? Was it fear? Shame? Both, he admitted, voice wavering. But what terrified me most was that I might enjoyed it, thriving on the chaos. He paused, conflict churning in his expression. That there was a part of me that was alive in all that. But I also know I can't erase the footprints left behind. This moment of brutal honesty fragmented the near-future image Sarah struggled to protect, the idyllic life that breathed within her dreams. Could she stand firmly on a foundation built from shadows? Then you need to become more than just a shadow of your past, Sarah said, determination solidifying. Facing the darkness doesn't mean succumbing to it. Embrace the lessons, but don't let them dictate who you are moving forward. Mike remained silent, visibly wrestling with the weight of her words. Repair the damage by being transparent with me, she continued, her voice rising in intensity. No more hiding. Only truth. It appeared he wanted to argue, but instead, a deep sigh escaped him. You need to understand, I'm terrified. Terrified that my past could ruin everything we've built. Every relationship is built on risk. You can't avoid it, she challenged, catching his gaze and holding it. This is your chance to change your narrative. To rebuild from the inside out. The silence that followed felt electric, pulsating with anticipation. Mike drew a ragged breath, as if preparing for a dive into the unknown. They both hovered on the precipice of a decision that could forge a new path or shatter the connection into irreparable pieces. Are you sure you can handle it? He finally asked, the armor of bravado beginning to falter. As sincerity shone through. I need to know who you truly are, she answered with quiet strength, grounding herself in the undertaking that loomed ahead. Just then, he steeled himself. Okay, but first, as he paused, gathering courage to share the intricate details that shaped him, his truth, the room seemed to hold its breath. What would emerge from the depths of his honesty? Whatever it was, Sarah knew she was now as much a part of this reckoning as he was. Would she emerge stronger or falter in the face of revelations to come? The deeper they went, the more questions swirled like storm clouds on the horizon. Amid the charged atmosphere of the chapel, Sarah took a moment to collect herself. The revelations had spun a chaotic web of emotions, but they were also illuminating a path forward. As Mike prepared to peel back the layers of his past, she realized that the truth wasn't merely a burden, it was a potential starting point for an uncharted territory, one where they could both confront their failures and successes. Then let us hear it, Sarah urged, her voice steadying. Beneath the storm of emotions roiling within, her heart throbbed with an unexpected sense of empowerment. The shadows that had once enamored her life were now stepping into the light, demanding resolution. With every confession that might follow, she felt inklings of her own healing rising along with Mike's. Mike inhaled deeply, the weight of every word catching in his throat. I was involved in a crew that manipulated others, pulled scams, and engaged in risky behavior, he began, a tremor of regret palpable in his words. Yet as he spoke, Sarah could sense the building resilience within him. I ran away from it all, and that's when I realized it wasn't just them I was escaping. I was running from myself. His voice wavered, revealing the burgeoning honesty she needed him to realize. I thought I could leave behind the people I surrounded myself with, but I couldn't shake the choices I made. I watched friends spiral into incarceration or destruction. The memories darkened his expression, providing a glimpse into the turmoil he had endured. Recklessness can entrap us in gilded cages of our own creation, she offered gently, sensing the pain draping over him. But that history doesn't define you. It shows where you've been, and where you choose not to go again. Mike regarded her with a mixture of relief and apprehension. That's what scares me, Sarah. What if the shadows inscribe deeply on my soul? What if I can't change? The raw authenticity in his fear was a reflection of her own struggles. They were both battling past identities, and the labyrinth of who they were threatening to derail any aspirations for who they wanted to become together. You need to confront those shadows head-on, she urged, steeling herself once more. Ask yourself, who do you want to be? The choices you've made are only pieces of the larger story we are crafting now. We can choose to tread in the light. His eyes locked onto hers, sincerity blooming amid the chaos. What if I stumble again? What if I don't meet up to your expectations? But what if you do? Her heart raced with conviction. You can't derive your worth from the approval of others. You are more than your past. Together, we can forge a new narrative, one built on honesty, resilience, and unwavering truth, both of us stepping into the open, refusing to hide. As he processed her words, the congregation fell into a gentle hush. Mike's shoulders relaxed slightly, an acknowledgement of mutual strength emerging between them. I want that chance, Sarah, he murmured, the spirits of vulnerability and clarity fusing in his tone. I want to be worthy as your partner in this life. She felt every hair on her skin stand in response, the surreal connection cementing within her. Their journey wasn't over, it had just begun. Emblematic of two souls who had battled through uncertainties, their promise was rising from the ashes of painful truths. In that poignant moment, Sarah's heart swelled with a solid confidence. They weren't merely participants in a ritual, this was a profound metamorphosis. She could see a future unfurling, one alive with the promise of persistence through their shared revelations. Finally, Sarah felt a true belonging emerge, not reliant on societal standards but defined by the willingness to embrace who they were together. As the commitment to one another crystallized, she agreed to hold Mike accountable to his past without allowing those shadows to latch onto the essence of their union. We uncover the truth together, and either we accept it, or we don't together. The room remained silent, the tension had dissipated, leaving behind the gentle pulse of hope. Mike nodded, the understanding blossoming. Then let us redefine what we see as love and partnership. Let us write our own story, free of the past. The minister, watching, now more a silent witness than an active participant, sensed their transformation. Do you wish to derive your vows from words in a script, or do you seek to articulate this unprecedented promise unraveled from the threads of life you've just disclosed? As they turned to face each other, the warmth of their shared vulnerability enveloped them. This would not be a ceremony built on polished perfection, but one rooted in audacious authenticity, a testament to their individual strength and growth. I promise to meet you in the light and the shadows, Sarah spoke firmly, commitment rippling through her. We will pursue our truths, no longer caged by expectation. With every vow exchanged, as they swore to navigate the complexities of life hand in hand, Sarah could feel the tapestry of their shared existence cementing. Here, amid the witnesses of their journey, Sarah gazed into Mike's eyes and realized they were more than simply imperfect lovers, they were companions at the threshold of remarkable transformation. This wasn't merely the close of a chapter, it was the beginning of a new story, where resilience, vulnerability, and authentic connection would reign supreme. Now, if you're as inspired by Sarah's journey as I am, you need to subscribe now to the channel so you don't miss future exclusive emotional stories. Leave a like to feed the algorithm, because your support makes a difference. Comment your thoughts on the profound revelations we just witnessed, and share this video with at least 5 friends who need to hear about Sarah and Mike's redemptive journey. You have the power to uplift them with the tales of resilience and authenticity. Don't wait even one more second to share.